Welcome to another edition of the Business and Personal Podcast, where we bring you closer to the people you do business with and share just interesting stories out there in the business world. And thrilled today to have Chris Davis on with us. She's a serial entrepreneur involved in a lot of different things. We're going to talk about her Buff Beauty Academy based out of Charlotte, North Carolina here today, and her foundation and all the great things that she's doing down there. So first of all, Chris, how you doing down there? You're a lot warmer down in Charlotte than I am up here in Detroit today, I'm sure.
Yeah, we are definitely a little bit warmer here. You know, the flannel and the sweater is just more so for the look of the fall. I probably could just be like in a sweatshirt by itself. But all is well. All is well. It's good down here.
Yeah, I used to live in North Carolina about 25 years ago, and every time about this time of the year, I regret moving back here. But home is home. That's how it is sometimes.
Yeah, and I miss home too. I mean, Michigan is my home. Detroit is my home. I miss it, but I never quite miss it enough to move back in the winter. Now, when I come in the summer, I'm like, oh, I can really do this. Now I remember all the things I loved, and now coming back and seeing like the resurgence of Detroit and just how everyone has such pride of ownership, and then our Lions are doing so amazing. So it makes me have a little bit of FOMO, but just not enough. When my mom says, oh yeah, we're gonna get some more snow overnight, I'm like, yeah, no. So we get 1 inch here and they cut off everything. They're like, no school, everything's closed, all the bread and water and milk are gone out of the grocery store. I often say, like, so what are you gonna do? Just make bread pudding? Because you can't do anything, and then your milk is gonna be spoiled. So yeah.
It's like nuclear fallout when they get 1 inch of snow down there, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris. This is the Business and Personal Podcast. So you've got a pretty diverse background, but just kind of give people an idea of what you've done and what's led you to Buff Beauty Academy at this point.
Okay, well, I am a third-generation entrepreneur, second-generation beauty industry entrepreneur, and mother of 2 entrepreneurs. So the entrepreneurial spirit was very prevalent and heavy in my upbringing and my family. And so I don't really think that I had a choice, even though it wasn't necessarily encouraged in the beauty industry. I don't think that I ever had a choice because it's all I ever saw, right? My grandparents, my mom, and then myself. It was just natural. And honestly, being from Detroit, even if you have a college degree, the inclination is that you have some type of trade or you have some other type of side hustle. And growing up, I knew that Detroit was, even when I lived other places, they would say Detroit is the hair and nails capital of the world. I mean, a lot of trendsetters come from there, a lot of trends come through there. And so it just was second nature for me. I can remember being as young as 7 years old, polishing my grandmother's nails and just knowing like this is just something I did. I did, nails with my friends in high school and junior high. So it just came so naturally to me that I don't think that I had a choice. I think it was already on me. That calling was on me, or this calling was on me long before I even knew it.
And what was it about your upbringing to just give you that confidence of being able to do, you knew you could do whatever that you wanted, and it wasn't out of the ordinary to own your own business. That was almost kind of expected.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that, living in North Carolina where, segregation and racism and stuff was very prevalent, probably in the time when I was growing up. I grew up in Detroit. So Detroit, in the 60s and 70s, 80s, most of our government was people who looked like me, right? My parents and grandparents who had businesses and their friends who had businesses, they looked like me. So there was nothing that told me, hey, this isn't something that's available to you. Like this was like, of course, even if you have a job, you have a side business, whether you were a florist or you were a cook or did catering or something like that. There was nothing about my environment that made me think that it wasn't something that was available to me. And again, like going and working in my grandparents' business, their friends had businesses, their grandkids were there. So it was just kind of like, of course, everyone has a business, right? Has some type of something, even if, like my uncles went to college, like you send your kids to college so they come back and make the business better. But unfortunately for most entrepreneurs, especially in families, they send the kids away to college, and the kids are like, I don't ever want to go back and do that, and that definitely happened in my family. My uncles didn't come back and work in the family business. And even my daughter, sent her to college with the money from being an entrepreneur, and she's not working in my business, even though she works in the same industry. So I hope that answers your question. Like, there was nothing about my upbringing or the people around me that made me think that this was not an option. I knew I wanted some type of, at that point, I didn't know the words to say financial freedom, but I knew I wanted to travel, and I knew I wanted to see the world, and I knew I wanted to kind of do things on my own terms. And I think just naturally, I realized that if you have a business, you can be in control of that. And I have had, corporate jobs and things like that. And every time I have ever gotten a job, I'm always saying, I can make more money on my own, or I guess, or if I did have a job, there were always some type of sales-based jobs, which still made you feel like you were running a business within their business. It was always zero to hero every month. And that was something that was very appealing to me. Even from a young age, I understood the harder I worked, the more payoff it would be. If you don't work, you don't get the biscuit. So that's just, I think has always been my story. And as an entrepreneur, you only eat what you kill. And I like to eat. So I'm out here trying to kill it every day. Yeah. So that's my story.
That's awesome insight. And, that's why I had you on here. I knew that you'd have great advice for aspiring entrepreneurs out there. We're in an era now, I think, where a lot of people want to branch off and do their own thing and get out of the corporate world. It's scary. They don't know how to make that jump. And everything you said right there, I think hopefully will be very inspiring for people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. One of the things with my students, what I notice is everyone, like you said, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur until it's time to pay the invoice, until it's time to, turn that key and you realize that everything is on you. And I think also COVID kind of contributed to that. A lot of people who had jobs where the jobs didn't want to give them a lot of freedom, didn't want to give them a lot of anonymity with their time. And then they realized, like, if we still want people to work, we got to let them work from home. And then, it just made people feel like, or if they lost their jobs, they felt like, wow, I'm just really disposable. So I think COVID was good and bad for a lot of people. Good for those who kind of had it in them and just had to realize, like, if I want something better for myself, I'm going to have to step out because these companies don't care about us. Right. So there's those people. And then I think for young people, and I experienced this so much with my students, and I think it's really unfortunate because a lot of people feel like if you don't have your own business that you're not successful. A lot of young people feel like, I got to have my own business. I got to be a boss, girl boss, whatever. And everybody is not meant to own their own business. There is still value in being part of a team or part of an organization that you help grow. There's, roles to everything. There's the owner, there's the support staff, there's the people on the team that's helping grow the business and helping the business scale. But social media makes a lot of young people feel like if you don't have a business and you have a job, you're failing. And that's not true, because being an entrepreneur is a curse and it's a blessing at the same time. Like, I am everything sometimes. Sometimes I'm the marketer, the person answering the phone, the person at the meetings, the person teaching the class. You have to have a certain grit about you to be able to do all those things. And everyone is not cut from that cloth. So.
Yeah, I think to me, it's like everybody has a lot of potential in whatever area it is. And sometimes in the corporate world, your full potential is being stifled a little bit. Sometimes that's just the right setting for you. But I think it's just all about getting the most out of whatever your talents are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's talk about Buff Beauty Academy here a little bit. So,
okay, I love it.
Yeah. So what makes your school unique? What can students expect from that experience?
So what makes our school unique is I have social proof, right? I have worked in the industry for 37 years now. I grew up in the industry. I have a lot of connections and people within my network that I have known throughout my journey as being an entrepreneur that makes the school owner a little different. A lot of school owners are school owners because they inherited the school from a family member, right? Typically, the person who owns the school or runs the school is not someone who has actually worked in the industry and had a level of success that I've had, and actually am not leaving because I can't do it anymore. I came out of it so that I could help make the industry better by putting students that look like me, and not just look like me physically, but have the attributes or some of the attributes that I bring to the marketplace. And so one of the things that made me want to open the school is I kept hiring people in my salon that, you know, fresh out of school, I want to work with you, you know, give me an opportunity. And then they didn't know what they were doing. And I would have to train them again, get them up to speed, help build up their confidence. A lot of them had the confidence already, but didn't have the skill set, right? And so by the time we melt all those things together, you know, build up their clientele, teach them how to run business, all these different things, what would happen? They would leave. And so, you know, I would be heartbroken, my stomach would be hurting, I would be feeling like I lost a family member. And during COVID, I was, you know, I had been thinking about opening a school before, but again, I never saw anybody like me that owned a school. It was always, you know, like the big box schools or Vietnamese or Asian owned schools where I was, you know, kind of locked out of the process. And during COVID, I met someone who was a mentor, and he owned 17 schools, and he looked like me. And he had the same passion for wanting to change the industry and wanting to just put the right, or want to help the right people be able to help people. So, yeah, so that's what makes us different. And I think that's why I did it. I don't know that question came up yet, but that's my why. That's my why.
So that kind of covers everything that I was looking for there. And I think that gives people a great perspective of what they can expect with your school, what makes it different, that, you know, you're not there just to get them through the program and forget about them. You're there every step of the way into their career. And some people might want to be the next Chris Davis and be a teacher and have their own school too. And you also have a teacher program as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And so I really love when my students become instructors because they've come through the fire. You know, they know exactly what my expectations are. They understand my vision and what my core values are for why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing. And so I have three of my substitute teachers or co-teachers are former students. And I love it because I'm able to see like the work that I poured into them come out, and then they're able to add their own twist on it because their experience was different than my experience. So that's really awesome, you know, to be able to be able to raise the next generation of beauty professionals and instructors.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's why you're doing this. You know, you didn't have to do this. You could have had a great career just, you know, just doing what you were doing and not branching off and doing this. So yeah, seeing those success stories it's got to be rewarding. It's also rewarding is the foundation, the Buff Beauty Foundation that you've started. So tell us some of the things you've been doing with that.
So currently the foundation, really, I set it up as a means for students who didn't have resources to be able to pay for tuition, that if they have a sponsor or someone who wants to give them money, but maybe doesn't want to give them the money directly, they can donate that money to the foundation, and then it's trickled down to them through their tuition. Currently, we're giving away $30,000 in tuition to students who are enrolling in both our new aesthetics program and our next nail program. So what that breaks down to is about $2,000 for each esthetician student and $1,000 for each nail student. And that's something to just, you know, kind of soften the burden of education, not completely take it away, but just soften the burden so that everyone has access, right? We want everyone to have access. It can't be free, but we can work with you to make sure that you have an opportunity and a chance to make yourself better.
Yeah, you know, when someone has the desire and the talent for this to be their career, you hate for money to ever be a barrier for them. So that's an awesome piece that you have there too. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Chris.
Okay.
I'm sure you have many success stories, but can you just share one with us from the school, from maybe one of your graduates that's gone on to success?
Yes. Okay. So one of my most proud, and I hope that you give me this clip because I think her birthday is this month, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to definitely share it, but I won't tell her about it. So one of my biggest success stories, I have two. But Tasha, she lives in New Jersey, and she initially came to school. As a self-taught nail tech. She had been teaching herself, and she decided she wanted to take a chance on herself. She had made lots of not great choices prior to coming to school, but she was really committed to learning and becoming the best. Well, midway through, she was like sleeping on her friend's sofa. I would just basically say she was homeless, right? Sleeping on her friend's sofa. She really was trying to make a good decision to change her life, right? So coming to school, but then she wasn't able to pay anymore. So she had to drop out of school and go back to Jersey. So she reached out to me, and, we stayed in contact, and I said, Tasha, you got to finish. The first week, let me just say this before I finish the story. The first week of class, or the first day of class, I have students come in with a vision board, right? And the vision board talks about what it is you want to do. It's really your why. So I have them break it up into short-term, mid-range, and long-term goals, right? So I kept telling her, like, your vision board, you said this is what you want to do. You said this is what you want to do. You got to finish. So she ended up being able to finish. She's got her license, and now she's making between $6,000 to $9,000 a month doing nails. And, she's no longer homeless. She actually ended up being, maybe I guess the word is unsheltered now, becoming unsheltered again when she went to New Jersey. And she was like, Miss Chris, I got to figure it out. And she's like, but I have a suite where I'm working, I'm doing clients, but, I don't have an apartment. So I said, well, put a futon in there, like one of the little couches. It was just her and her dog. She had a futon. She's, had a mini fridge. I said, and for showers and stuff, join Planet Fitness or join a gym, so that you'll be able to go, shower and bathe every day, get yourself together, get dressed, and you'll be able to get like some, exercise in until you're able to get to the next thing. And, I'm just so proud that, she has her own place. She likes to send me pictures. She has her own place now. She has her own suite business. She's working with other girls, trying to mentor them. And she just makes me so proud to just see, like, you just have to kind of stick with it. And, sometimes the road is going to get rough, but I don't believe that God puts a desire in your heart to do something without a way to see it through. So Tasha, I'm just so proud of her journey, all the things, and that she really stuck it through. And I don't know. I guess I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it, because there were so many things that she could have done and not this. And she just took a chance on herself. So I love that.
Pretty awesome. I mean, that basically sums it all up right there. This is why you do what you do.
That's
right?
really it. That's the why, really want to give everyone access, give everyone a chance, to just show them, like, beauty changes lives, right? People don't realize the beauty industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you don't have to have a master's degree, a, PhD to be a six-figure earner. You can literally be a high school dropout. You can have a GED. You can have all of these things and still be able to make it. So I'm proud to be a part of this community.
Absolutely. Well, it definitely shows. And, anybody that's still listening at this point, Chris, is certainly very interested in the school. So how can they reach out to you to get started with the whole process, maybe do a tour or whatnot?
Yep. So they can reach us on all the socials as Buff Beauty Academy. On Instagram, we're Buff Beauty Academy NC. They wouldn't give me, I don't know who has the regular Buff Beauty Academy, but the NC, I think, is assigned to me that I'm going to be in other places. So at some point there'll be NC, MI, TX, whatever. So we're Buff Beauty Academy there, but they can find us at buffbeautyacademy.com. They can go on to our websites, access give us a call or come in for a tour, see our facility. We've just opened the aesthetic side. We're the only school in the area that has a hydrofacial machine. So when our students graduate, they're hydrofacial certified, as well as we're a PCA exclusive partner. So they're also certified in PCA peels and protocols and things like that. And on the nail side, Tammy Taylor and Valentino. Like, I just want to have the best of everything for our students, so that when you're putting a Buff Beauty Academy graduate next to a regular graduate, it's hands down like, who else would you pick? So that's what I want, and that's my desire for my students.
Well, you've been a fabulous guest. I knew you'd have great stories to share, Chris. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to getting this out there and hopefully connecting you with some more people you can help.
Yes, thank you so much, Ryan, for this time. Thanks for staying on me and saying, hey, this is what we need to get the word out there. I appreciate you so much and everything that you do. So I hope everyone who is watching this continues to watch Ryan's podcast. He's really doing something great for the community to make sure that there's no barriers. So thank you.